Hello everyone, welcome back to Treknado. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
And I'm Adam.
And today we're getting back finally. Star Trek Continues. Once again, not spinning the wheel because it's been a while since we've done Star Trek Continues. We are 3 episodes down, and we've got to catch up on this. So the next Treknado you see will probably be one of the episodes we have in the can that I haven't posted yet. And I think the next couple times we meet, we'll probably just get these knocked out, guys. Because we should probably catch up. And I'm very excited about the Delancey episode. And honestly, we just working on other things. Kind of got behind on this show. So we are tackling episode 7 today. It's Embracing the Winds, and this episode is kind of an excuse to go to a space station finally, which looks pretty cool. And yet another set they built. Wow, just all the sets.
Yes.
Sets look really production quality on this, of course, remains just top notch.
They really captured the look of Starbase 11 in this case.
Yeah, and is it specifically that station?
It wasn't supposed to be that, but it's supposed to be like the same type.
You noted that like immediately, and then you're talking about this plaque on the wall, and then the plaque shows up, and that was great.
Oh, you mean like...
It wasn't a plaque, it was just a list of
just a list of behind it,
Yeah. I think that was in court martial or something.
I believe it was, But anyway, so Brandon, you haven't reviewed this with us yet. You've seen one of these one time, and did you even remember which one it was?
I remember the only thing I really
Orion. Because I feel like that might have been the one we showed.
It might be. The only thing that I really remember seemed to be that there was a rumor going around, and they were in the mess hall, and they were trying to quash the rumor. That's all I remember.
I don't remember that.
That's real vague. I don't. Really
I know it's super vague.
Did it have Lou Ferrigno as a male Orion?
No.
Did it have Apollo in it?
Oh, I think it did. That's the one. That's the one.
Because time we did that back in old Star Trek Club, there were only like 2 or 3 out. No, I don't even think the Mirror episode was out yet. So
they did a Mirror follow-up. They brought the actor back to play him. Yeah, in the end,
he gave a better performance.
Yeah, that was the one. That was the one that I saw.
I think. Honestly, real quick, let's do just a little bit of like broad about this show because it's been a while since we've talked about it. I think so far of the ones I've seen, because I haven't seen the last 2, that might still be their best script.
The Apollo one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was either that one or the Orion one. I liked both of those, but
it's both really good. And we've done all kinds of cool things production-wise since then, but I don't think they've ever recaptured the authenticity and storytelling levels that they were at. With those first couple episodes.
Well, that disappoints me slightly, having seen that one. That might be the
best
one.
Contrast that Orion episode with this one.
They're all still worth watching for different reasons.
Sure. I feel like...
But some of them get my main gripe about the show is some of them have gotten kind of padded, where they had an idea and not quite enough enough story to fill it. But then my least favorite TOS episodes have that problem too. Right. So, but anyway, what were you saying?
I mean, you could contrast the Orion episode with this one, in that one was able to do like an allegory and a social justice oriented story without it feeling really preachy and heavy handed and stuff.
This one was seriously heavy handed.
Are you talking about the Apollo one or the Orion one?
The Orion one.
Because the Orion one got preachy.
Did it get heavy? I don't remember.
It got preachy. Sappy at the very least. Right at the end. Yeah. But And as I've said before, that is a tough line to walk when you're trying to remake or try to do authentic TOS again, because they were doing that. Right. But sometimes I feel like we go even farther than they would have, and the best episodes of that show don't tend to go that far in being super heavy-handed. Where with the allegory, it can be really clear what they're talking about.
Like Balance of Terror with with prejudice and stuff about Spock being like a Vulcan or a Romulan.
So with holding our hands and spelling it out too much. Balance of Terror with the more subtlety, with a little bit of subtlety, contrasted with something like Omega Glory, or like your last battle. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, Battle Glory. Yeah, right. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into this one a little bit. Adam, give us a real brief synopsis, if you would. Well, what happens in this one?
Okay, so the USS Hood is another Constitution-class starship. Yet again, the whole crew's dead. So they're going to salvage
that's what we do with
That's what happens with those. There's a real They need a recall on the. I feel like I don't know.
Is it just bad luck?
I guess maybe it's cursed.
Because it's not a defect,
yeah,
the design or anything.
Yeah, it's just bad luck. But so
that's
the
Galaxy.
Enterprise is tasked with going and salvaging the Hulk or whatever you'd call it, the wreck. And meanwhile, Spock and Kirk and Sulu and the woman,
the doctor,
are in a shuttle. Oh, right. See, it's been a while since I watched the show. I know that. Yes. I'll think.
Who had to fight for her
yes.
position.
But they took it there on the shuttle. They landed at the starbase, and the Commodore.
The McKenna.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, the Commodore tells them that they need a new captain for the recrew this Constitution class starship, and they want Spock. But then another person comes into the running, and it's a woman. And apparently, there's been no.
It's Rachel Garrett's mom.
Yes, it's Rachel Garrett's mom. Apparently, there's been no female captains of Constitution class starships because.
Or I guess possibly grandmother, but I think it's probably her mom.
Probably her mom. I asked.
Or it could be a sister.
Yeah.
No, probably not a sister.
No.
Because she'd be ancient.
Yeah.
By yesterday's Enterprise. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, apparently, there's been no women captains of Constitution class starships because, I guess the Tellarites are really prejudiced against women and chauvinistic and stuff, and they don't take kindly to having them be captains of something like the flagship
like females
type.
Climbing the ladder.
No, but I didn't get this. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I didn't get the sense that was like the main reason that we didn't have them in as captains in Starfleet.
Yeah,
I felt like that was just the issue with getting her promoted right now.
Yeah, because she put in her application.
I thought they said something in the little blurb about that's why they didn't keep.
They mentioned that Tellarites don't
whole,
like women, but that Starfleet just hasn't gotten any women.
Yeah, because there's also the whole speech at the end where it's like, well, they seem to be discriminated against, but we don't really know if it's really on purpose or if it's subconscious.
Right.
And I actually kind of like that. I like that the discussion is we actually think that we all think we're playing fair, but we're not. We're not sure like what exactly is causing it, and maybe we need to reassess the situation.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, that's basically what happens. And then she shows up, and Kirk's a real advocate for her. But then it turns out she's got some stuff in her history that maybe she made poor decisions as a commander in the past on away missions.
Maybe she's not even worthy of being a captain.
Yeah, maybe.
I kind of wish we hadn't gone there.
Those tripods came out of nowhere.
Yeah. That was hilarious! Yeah. What was I supposed to do? They came out of nowhere.
They weren't tripods, but it sounded like tripods,
on the future planet. On the future planet of Galactic Peace, because it was Nimbus 3.
Nimbus 3, that's right. Nimbus 3.
Yes.
That was actually kind of fun.
I wonder if they ran into that guy that was like the real estate huckster guy that was on the commercial. Beam on down.
Yeah, beam on down.
Yeah, that's a weird movie. But so they have a trial like they do on the original series all the time with the thing.
But is it? It's a
hearing, not a trial.
Is it? But it's not criminal,
like
right?
It's not a criminal. It's just to evaluate.
It's just to decide
who should be there.
Who should be the cat? Yeah, and the problem I had with that was it turns into courtroom drama when it's all about her.
Right, it's all like procedural thing.
When it's all about like mistakes she made in her past.
Right.
It didn't start off that way. It was like I don't even know why we need a lie detector in this particular case.
I don't even know why they had everybody in there. They should have had her question and then him question separately, and then they should have made their decision.
I feel like they kind of just did that so they could do the hearing scene.
Right, exactly.
I hope that's not an unfair thing to say, but it felt to me like, am I missing something? It felt to me like this isn't. Yeah, I just don't think like that's the way you would handle that.
Right.
I don't feel
it
that way
through a
either.
Special hearing.
No.
And why would Spock necessarily answering one way about his feelings, and that being picked up by the quote-unquote lie detector, why would that even matter? They should just be able to take his word for it.
They wouldn't need a lie detector in that particular case. And like, once it becomes about like mistakes she's made, but then as we were talking about as we watched it, seems like that would have come up at some point.
Right, you think they would have realized that before they even considered her?
This should have been a reality show, a competitive reality show, before it was a courtroom drama. Right? Yeah.
You must perform tasks in your field.
You have 3 judges, and they decide. And that is what happens. They have 3 judges, and here's the other reason.
Federation Gladiator.
The other reason I think that it was Sorry, you just made me think of John Logan because he wrote Gladiator and Sergeant Nemesis. But I think the other reason they went to the courtroom drama place, even though it's intrusive and doesn't fit, is so that we could try to make it look like Measure of a Man at the end.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but they failed so miserably. I hear what you're saying, and I like what you're saying. If they could have made it work, sure.
No, that's a criticism.
Yes.
I'm criticizing.
No, I know you are, but I just like it didn't work, and so I think in the end it was a completely bad idea.
Yeah, we're all in agreement.
But that's why they did. But I think that's why they did.
Okay,
so at the end she
you.
have this
I'm
big
with you.
speech.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And then talk about the B story,
or even
A
a
story.
generic TOS style. You know, Kirk always gave speeches like that. You know,
that should have been a Kirk speech.
It could have been Kirk.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he makes everybody think about the
right.
social situation,
right.
and kind of reevaluate where they're going to go in the future. But and then that ship explodes,
yes,
and then it's a
B story. What
makes it
finish
explode?
Your synopsis here.
I don't know.
Okay,
so the B story is
Scotty didn't know either. Remember, that's what scared him.
Was it a mystery?
Chekov asked him what happened over
happened?
there, and he goes, "I don't know. That's what scares me."
Yeah, so Scotty and the rest of the
doesn't
crew,
know.
They went to find the hood. They get the hood. They go on board and they mess around with the dilithium chamber thing, and
that guy with the bionic arm.
There's a guy with the bionic arm, which I forgot about, but he
he's pre-established.
He pulls the thing up, and they something happens, and it starts up, and it starts.
Yeah, all of a sudden the engines start. There's a power surge from the engines, and you see the little nacelles start to light up.
Chekov electrocutes himself, getting them off the ship,
which looks hysterical.
Which looks hilarious.
Yeah, no, it totally had the Emperor getting Darth Vader vibe to it.
Well, that's what it always looked like in TOS, but because it's slightly, it looks enhanced because we made it now. Right. Somehow, rather that almost made it cheesier to me.
Yeah, it really did.
And then we cut directly from that to a spectacular effect from the front of the ship with the deflector.
Right.
Yeah.
That looks really good.
That was great.
Well, but their space stuff always looks good.
And then the hood exploding looked outstanding too.
It looked awesome.
So then the hood exploded and the whole thing was moot.
Chekov made and that's the thing that I thought of immediately, but Chekov made this. First of all, he said a quote that was supposed to be in Russian that sounded something.
I think it was Russian.
He kept going in and out of an accent.
Yeah.
And when he says it, and then later somebody asks him what the quote was, and he explains it. When he says it, his accent sounded vaguely like Japanese or something. It didn't even sound Russian.
The guy obviously did not speak Russian. Yeah.
And
they're trying to do it phonetically or whatever.
Yeah. And there are 2 or 3 moments where he drops so completely out of it, and his accent, I'm sorry, never sounds good. I don't even think he's a bad actor. I just don't think he can do that accent.
I think that he's doing it too much too. He's like trying to overcome. Chekov never had that thick of an accent on the original series.
No, and
he's overcompensating.
And of course he does in the 09 movies because they're kind of making fun of that. But he's at least consistent with it.
Right.
But this guy, like when sometimes he does V's, sometimes he does W's.
Right.
Like, but there are 2 or 3
considerably.
There were 2 or 3 times where he just drops out completely in just his regular speaking accent,
and
I forget he's Chekov when that happens. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, that guy's Chekov.
Right. He had a reaction where he turned to the camera right before they did their fake commercial break.
Yeah.
And he completely lost the accent.
This must be the most screen time he's had.
I think it is. I don't remember him being in it honestly all that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But yeah, he got promoted to lieutenant at the end, and then they're foreshadowing his role in the movies as a tactical officer, which is always kind of bizarre.
So yeah, let's talk about that. I want to ask you guys this question: have we? And of course, you haven't seen a lot of the show yet, but let me ask how you felt about this with this particular episode, and how you feel about this overall right now. Especially, you've seen the rest of it,
right?
And again, I haven't seen the last 2 episodes, but Adam has.
Right.
Do you think that at this point we've kind of laid on all the references and things to like it feels in this particular episode almost like one of the main agendas is to fill stuff in and make make things make more sense for when you get to the later material.
Right, exactly.
How do you feel about that?
I mean,
because I've always been
you could
somewhat
do
on
it
the
a
fence
little,
about
but they don't. But it seems like if you do an entire episode devoted to that, it seems a little unnecessary. It's like your house cleaning or something. I don't know. Or trying to just trying to make continuity work better and stuff. But I mean, we never had it work for all the years we've watched, the actual Star Trek.
And like, I totally sympathize.
Right.
This is something that is kind of fun to do.
Right.
I think I would be tempted
Right.
to do some of that myself, but I think that your purpose gets a little confused. Because
Right.
it's like, are we making season 4 of TOS,
Right.
or are we
Just tying up loose ends? Or,
yeah. Is this for an audience that's seen all of Star Trek, or is this just more original series?
Right.
And the larger issue there becomes, what period are we extrapolating our science fiction from?
Right.
Or our future?
Right.
Are we extrapolating from the 60s, or are we extrapolating from right now? Because we really double dip and have our cake and eat it too with that.
Right.
And I think this episode in particular, that becomes kind of problematic.
Right.
Well,
I think so as well.
Sometimes, I mean, it's one thing if you're going to just make a veiled reference to something. It's another thing if you're just going to come out and say, like, this is what this is. Especially, like, with a single character, as they had it, like, there were at least a couple of different references specifically to Chekov. Now, it can also be problematic if you've got to work towards a goal and you don't know how to get there. You've got to make sure you've got to be able to write that properly. I didn't feel like it came off.
But we're not making an
terrible.
ongoing story here. It's not like they're trying to foreshadow for things they're going to do. They're
Right.
foreshadowing for movies.
Exactly,
Right.
and that's what I'm saying is I that might pigeonhole you into a specific direction that you may not have wanted to go.
Right.
And some of
So-
this is real subjective. Like I don't think I minded the Chekov tactical thing as much because I kind of like trying to give him
Right.
some kind of a motivation for where he's going into the future.
Yeah.
But this whole-
But then he immediately gets a promotion.
But I didn't but even my point is that didn't bother me even as
Okay.
much as coming right out and saying maybe someday there'll be a Garrett who gets a Starship
Right,
Enterprise.
right.
Okay.
I didn't need to go that far.
And
I like that it was a Garrett. That's kind of fun.
the whole-
But here's the thing: you can sneak that stuff in and make
Right.
it for an audience that doesn't even know that stuff. And of course,
Right.
most people that go and watch this are probably gonna know that stuff. But
Right.
but I'll tell you this: my dad watches this show
Yeah.
because he's a huge TOS fan, and he knows some TNG, and he's watched a little bit of later stuff. But his Star Trek is original series,
Right.
and he might not have even picked up on Garrett. So
Right.
I can at least speak to one person watching
Right,
the show
exactly.
that's not watching it for that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that they praised this for when it first came out, was that it wasn't like all the other fan fiction where it's just like fan fiction where you just, oh, look at this, we made a reference to that, look at that,
Again, it's
actually
really hard
trying
not to
tell
be
an
tempted.
original
It's really hard not
thing
to fall in that
and
trap.
And that
Maybe
might
that's
be
what
where they're
happened
going
to
now.
them. Maybe they just
And since
fell
they're only
in.
making so many episodes, because they're not
Yeah.
even because they're doing like a half season, they're not even doing like a full 26
Right.
episode season. Since they're only doing so many episodes,
Right.
and they didn't know how many they were doing at the beginning. I said this at the beginning. I said I really hope they don't do too many sequels and foreshadow episodes, and most of them have been
Right.
to some degree.
Right. Or at least have some kind of reference, or at least somewhere in there. They at least to a certain extent. Right.
Yeah.
Now I will say this.
But when you
about
did
the
Apollo, when you
episode.
did Mirror, and you like
Exactly. And
when it comes to
individually, a lot of them were really fun to watch. But just looking at this as a piece, I think that hurts it a little bit.
right.
when it comes to TV in general, and even more specifically Star Trek, which is one of my favorites, obviously, it's usually a little bit more difficult. I can still sometimes figure it out, but it's usually a little bit more difficult for me to figure out what's going to happen next. This one went exactly where I thought it was going to go, just 100% immediately. At the very end there, as soon as the Vulcan on the committee at the what do you call it, the hearing,
Right.
as soon as the Vulcan voted for her, I knew she was going to vote for Spock. I knew it was going to be a 50-50 split, and they were going to get news of the hood
Right.
and just cut off Captain Kirk.
Right.
I mean, it
was
seemed
very
a little
predictable.
too obvious, a little
But
too
I think
predictable.
that bit was predictable in the way TOS might have been
Right.
predictable. Honestly, that didn't bother me so much as just I didn't think there was really a great story.
I didn't think it was
Just in
necessary to
general.
do a thing to try to retcon the turnabout intruder problem.
Yeah, that's the thing that you were mentioning earlier.
We should just ignore that episode ever happened and
Well, to
move
me,
on from there.
I never bought the idea because part of what this episode is trying to do is saying like, okay, you didn't see female captains before, but you see them later, and here's why.
Right.
To some degree, because something you have to remember is that we had a female captain as early as Wrath of Khan.
Star
Trek 4. I know there's a black female captain in Star Trek 4. But I couldn't remember. And then we have a black male captain in Star Trek 2, and that was the first time that had happened. I think. Yeah.
Right. Well, the thing that really irked me about this episode, the main thing, was just how heavy-handed it was about women in the workplace in general. Now, I do think that there are issues there, and that it's fine if a show wants to tackle that, but it was just the heavy-handedness of it that really kind of I think it made for a less impact of the overall story, which we're not exactly sure what that was because it didn't matter.
And the reason you have to ignore Turnabout Intruder is because I don't buy that we get this close to utopian, in an actual socialized government and world that works,
and a meritocracy,
and it's a complete patriarchy. I just don't even buy that these things would be a problem yet. Like we've gotten past all this except for that one episode. Now, to be fair, there is clearly sexism with male characters in the original series because that's the politics and the climate of the day seeping in.
Right, exactly.
Well,
but I mean something that blatant. I agree with you 100%.
And then at the end, they have, 3 or 4 different, we're cutting back to this to wrap this scene up, and the Tellarite comes out and says, I'm very aware that my people's opinions are very outdated, and I'm on the winds of change, and that's where the title came from. That was...
Yeah,
I didn't feel like we necessarily... I mean, it was...
I didn't love... again, I didn't love how far they took that.
Right.
I thought the premise doesn't work in the first place.
Exactly.
So, that having him come out at the end, it was sort of, what that was really reminiscent of? It's the Romulan at the end of the chase, right?
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Where he's like, Picard, you and I are not so unalike. It's that scene.
Yes.
I actually didn't mind that. The issue I have with it in the first place is, because I've never bought Turnabout Intruder. And a lot of people like to just kind of almost decanonicize that in their heads anyway. The reason, I mean, it counts, but it shouldn't. Part of the reason that you want to discount that, like I said before, is because you wouldn't have this problem where we were discriminating against women if you're not discriminating against anybody else. I wouldn't think. But so the whole thing is, how were the Tellarites founding members then?
They made up some whole thing where we needed their help during the Romulan War.
Oh, that's right.
The Federation, but
they said we wouldn't have survived it without them if they hadn't brought their...
Didn't they already exist before the... I don't remember what happened at the end of Enterprise.
No, they didn't. No, the Romulan War would have happened before that. So,
that's right.
So when you get to 2161, it's already happened.
That's right.
The Romulan War is 2155.
Okay.
And it would have been the next season. If Enterprise had stayed on, they would have had to have done it.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Or at least I'm pretty sure they would have done it.
Right.
And I actually just bought the novel where Enterprise does the Romulan War.
Okay.
I haven't read it yet, but apparently that book looks at now that I'm remembering this, they actually had plans for the Romulan War for season 5, and the book is based on their notes of what they were going to do.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Yeah. So it's not just some writer coming up with something. I forget who wrote that. But anyway, I don't know. I sort of... there's things here to like, and there's there's political and bureaucratic stuff that works outside of just the initial premise that I'm not buying in the first place.
Right.
So the idea that they would have to compromise in order to make the Federation work in the first place is a good idea. I mean, remember, we're going to find out later that Section 31 still exists.
Exactly.
We made compromises. So I like that idea. That compromise is a way too big of a pill to swallow. And it kind of sounds like, and I'm actually kind of glad they didn't go to this place, but it kind of sounds like slavery in the Civil War again. I mean, slavery in the founding of the United States.
Exactly.
Where it's like this complete hypocrisy thing where we say everybody's equal, but we have slaves. It's exactly the same thing. I just don't buy that we could have gotten that far with that.
And they're saying that there's been women captains of other starships. And there was a woman captain in Enterprise of the Columbia and stuff. So why?
So they're
why
that?
Why is the Constitution class
Probably because it's a flagship.
But they probably had other flagships before then. Have they not had women captains?
But that's a great point about Enterprise
what
because
they're trying to make though.
Because they have built on Enterprise things in this show,
right.
so they are not discounting that.
Right. Right.
And they're thinking about everything when they make this. It's not just TOS.
Right.
So that's a little bit problematic.
Right.
So I want to talk about some of the production stuff and guest stars and things real quick. The lady who plays Garrett, that actress, is not great.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, she's not.
She just didn't really seem like half the material to me.
No.
And not because she's a woman. I just didn't think she was that great of an actress.
No, I didn't think she really sold it.
She did not sell it. She especially didn't sell it for even
the speech at the end.
Well, I mean, you were right to say that Kirk should have had that speech. That's perfect,
clear creamer,
perfect thing. But she didn't fit in this genre to me at all.
Yeah, I don't know what other stuff she's done besides this, but I'd never seen her in anything.
Yeah, I was looking at her IMDb, and it's real small time stuff. But I said I thought she looked too young, and she's 42, so I was totally mistaken there. Because that is exactly the age she should have been. She was on the first Constitution ship. She needs to be a little bit older.
Right.
So they cast it right as far as the age and that goes. But I think she looks younger than she is. But anyway, she was in stuff like Big Ass Spider.
Oh. Big ass Spider.
Okay.
And she was in Road to Hell, and
It's paid with good intention.
Little movies like that. Anyway, so I don't know. That wasn't the best casting. And by the way, let me say real quick that I realize, and because I've had some folks kind of complain that I'm as critical as I am about the show.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the production.
Right.
The show has been really like Star Trek canonical worthy much of the time, and so I hold it to those standards.
Right.
I don't feel like I'm watching a fan film series when I watch this,
and
even the episodes I don't like as much, I still don't feel like I'm watching a fan film.
Right, it's still not
well,
we won't single out
great production.
Fan productions.
By
name.
Yeah,
well, there's other ones that I've seen that.
I mean, this show still is made with so much care.
Right.
Like I mentioned to you earlier, they have a full orchestra for the music. It's fantastic.
They made the darn chair prop thing with the
it's really cool.
Those shots that they have in the end credits, I thought those were great too. The monster,
the stills and stuff.
You gotta see that episode with that monster. It's really cool.
I want to. I really want to.
The Stom, the Vulcan Commodore or what is he?
He's a Commodore, I think.
Is he? Yeah, he's great.
Right.
And he's actually been in a lot of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, he was a captain in Darkness. So that's pretty cool. But
nice.
But I thought he was really good in this actually.
Yeah, because there's a Commodore, an Admiral, and Captain.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's weird that Marina Sirtis doing the computer voice is doing the accent for the Troy accent.
Right.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I noticed that immediately. I was like, that should be a little bit higher,
and
there shouldn't be an accent.
I just think that's weird. Like, I'm not going to complain that she's not trying to do an impression of Majel Barrett, but it's kind of strange that she's doing that.
She is British, but still,
Enterprise computers sound a certain way or computers in TOS sound a certain way.
Right.
Vic Mignogna continues to be great. Haberkorn is Spock, grew on me real hard. Now I just love him. I think he's just spectacular.
Yeah. Did you like, what's her name? Erin Gray?
Yeah.
As the Commodore?
She was fine.
She was fine.
I thought she was good, yeah. And with the stuff, this is the last thing I want to say. With the stuff that where we laid things on too thick with the message, there were parts of it that I felt like were handled with finesse that I was impressed with. For instance, I kind of like that when it's all said and done, the female admiral votes for Kirk.
Right.
I kind of like that, and I like that there's a big question as to what even caused this problem in the first place, and that we're not pointing fingers. And I like it seems like, with the exception of Garrett, who I think is a little bit too rah-rah revolution at the end. She is like everybody else seems really level-headed about the situation, where they're just trying to decide. what the problem is, if there's a problem, and how to solve it.
Well, now for her character though, she may be, what was the term you just used? Rah revolution.
That would have worked better if it weren't for the fact that she had all this stuff in her background that made her maybe not right for command.
But at the same time, that is her motivation to be that way. They were saying, in her character, if you look at just her character, that makes sense for her, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense for the episode itself.
Right.
But I do think that made sense for her character in as much as I didn't really care for that character.
Yeah. Well, anything else you guys want to...
I don't have anything.
Do we rate these ones?
We haven't been with continuous.
All right.
I almost kind of don't want to do that with this show.
Yeah, I don't
hey, stay consistent.
Yeah.
I don't feel real comfortable with that. I mean, I know I'm holding it to Star Trek standards, but
I've only seen 2 episodes now, so I'm fine with that.
Right.
I would maybe rate them after I'd seen them all.
Yeah.
Gotta watch them all.
Finale happens. We can do a video about that.
We could do kind of an overview, and it'd be cool to rank them.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't think the script was great, but as usual, it looks wonderful.
It looks fantastic.
It's directed really well.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see those new sets, and the outside of the starbase looked great.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, that was cool.
There's some good handheld camera action in there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anyway, everybody, thanks as always for watching. We sure appreciate it, and we will see you again next time with Treknado. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Adam.
See you, folks.